This week, Elon Musk company xAI released Grok 3, the smartest AI in the world, and shocked everyone, saying they not only have the largest supercomputer with 200,000 H100 equivalent in compute, but are now working on the next supercomputer that will have 5 times more power. Elon confirmed that voice mode will be released soon and that it will be made available in Tesla cars. Do investors realize yet what this means for Tesla's business and stock? Well, will having the smartest AI in the world help with Robotaxi, with the bots, and with Tesla's business overall? I wanted to ask Larry Goldberg these questions. He's been following AI and the development of compute quite closely. We've been doing a number of those shows over the year. And so, Larry, I wanted to understand how you saw this kind of development of Grok 3 and how it can impact Tesla's business. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you. Appreciate being here, Herbert.
So, just very recently, of course, Elon did a video. And xAI's team showed the Grok 3. They demoed it. I've been playing with it. I'm sure you have as well. And they're showing that it is now better or at least equal to OpenAI's versions. And it's just like the timing of how quickly they got here. What's your estimate of what they released?
Well, firstly, it's the beginning of the story because what we're looking at is, I would say, semi-baked. They're still in the process of rolling it out, and it will be several weeks before we see it reach quote-unquote full strength. So we can only evaluate it based upon what we're told as an early release, which is pretty normal these days for these releases. I will say, for my use, and it's pretty extensive. It's good enough that I've dropped my. I'm now only subscribed. Well, subscribed. It's so inexpensive. It's almost free. It is free actually. So it's very good for my purposes. It is actually more accurate. I found it to be more accurate, more succinct, and more responsive than the others. I prefer not to mention them, but the others that I've been using, all leading, frontier models and most functional. So I can only look forward to better. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of leapfrogging for a while, but Elon said this is going to be, that he was talking about the last days in which Grok will not be the most powerful. And so I think he's really, posted his stake in the ground. I believe him. And I think we're going to see improvements. I think the next iteration is going to be every bit as good, but we're reaching a point where improvements are going to be relatively minor, relatively limited, and the functionality of the agents and the work around the core model is going to be more important than the core model itself. Having said that, I think there's still a lot of work to be done in the thinking portion and in constant learning. Continuous learning, I should say, and that is not having to go back and rebuild the model to actually use the results of a particular query and use that in the core model itself. And so there's a lot of work to be done. I know that I'm harking to the paper that Google released, Titan's paper. Very important. I think it's crucially important to where we go in the future. And the notion of inference and the notion of training, that those worlds are going to, they're merging, or the distinction between them is blurring. So there's a lot of work to go on. So the biggest challenge is going to be memory at inference time. That's going to be, I think, the challenge for the car. So how much they can actually introduce in the car and where they're going to get the memory from in the car, that's going to be the challenging issue. Yeah. And I'd love to see how they're going to solve that. There's no doubt that the car can use an improvement in the voice mode. Right now, the voice mode is very limited. It's stored voice expressions. You have to know the expression. It's not that great.
Yeah.
It's about as good as any car that I've driven, but it's not that great. Having said that, that's not great praise. But can we use voice mode? Oh, undoubtedly. Instantly comes to mind the idea of what's going to happen in robotaxis when when the passenger sees a problem or wants to reroute or whatever. Having voice mode to give instructions rather than have to key in a phone makes all the difference in the world. All the difference.
Yeah. This is the sample of the voice mode that they teased us with at the very end here. Let's listen to this.
Hey, Grok, what's up?
Can you hear me? I'm so excited to finally meet you. I can't wait to chat and learn more about each other. I'll talk to you soon.
They're just giving you a little teaser. Sounds very, all the voice chat GPT chats out there have become really impressive at this point. But
yeah, if one could have a conversational mode such as this in the car, it would make voice control of the car so much better than it's been at the moment.
And don't you think it's not just an LLM? This is not just you asking a question and giving you the answer, which you can get right now. You open up your phone, you can do that with all of them. But this is like going to be more integrated. That's what I'm hoping. What's your expectations?
My short-term expectations is using the phone connected to the car, because my short-term expectations is that it's just so much easier to avail itself of the power of the phone and use that to communicate with the car rather than to use the resources in the car. I think the resources in the car are somewhat constrained at the moment and will be for some time to come as they figure out how to integrate, Grok into the car itself. So right now, having the car and the phone tightly coupled as they are, and have the voice mode used on the phone would be very powerful, and would substitute for having the car actually run the voice mode. I'm struggling to see how they're going to use enough memory in the car for voice mode. And still have enough memory, which, until they get AI 5, I think they're going to be constrained. And even with AI 5, I can't imagine that they won't be constrained in resources. So it's going to play out. But my expectation is that the Grok control of the car will be through the phone. And I may be wrong. Maybe they find a magic solution.
Yeah. They did say that it's going to go to the cloud, right? Like you're saying, until they figured out how to get more inference compute power in the car. But even if it goes to the cloud, I honestly am anticipating this is going to go beyond just, question and answer. This is going to have so many more different use cases that is going to change your actual relationship with the car. Like, It can have memory, right? It can remember who you are. It can remember everything that's happened. It has access to real-time information. And so it's going to have a personality too, right? You can choose the voice. It can have a different personality. And eventually your car will have a different personality specifically to you. And it'll know your specific scenario that you're specifically at. Like if I'm at home, it knows that I'm sitting in the driveway. That knowledge is something you don't have anywhere else, in a car, in a computer.
There's no doubt that, the use of it, the use cases are almost, the unlimited number of use cases are, in terms of having not only the car have a personality and not only the car being all-knowing and all-seeing and very responsive.
Right.
But also the solution, for accidents or events on the road or external events to the car that the car is seeing.
Yes.
It just goes on and on and on. And we probably can't even conjure up all the use cases available to it. And, I think
Yeah.
Since it's going to be external to the car, and since it's going to be dependent upon connectivity, it's interesting to see whether or not they're going to involve Starlink, because connectivity on the ground in some places is not that reliable. So there are layers in this thing. There are layers, and it's going to be very interesting indeed to see where the layers go.
I think that's a fantastic point. So, this AI that we're talking about, it's gone, all of them, the LMs are just so impressive now, right? There's got this reasoning, it's got these thinking, they can create apps for you, they can create software, they can create, I know you've already done this, right? You've already given it all this, documents about information about the budget of the United States, and you tell it to go and, solve it. It's unbelievable.
And by the way, that was my test. I got pretty deep into the budget of the United States.
I know you did, yeah.
It's become a lot more extensive than the last piece I did. And so I started from scratch on Grok, and I went through the same, structure of questioning. The results were so much more accurate, so much. And, when I first did this on GPT-3, actually 4.0 mini was my first, 4.0 was my first attempt, right? The number of times I had to say, look, you're wrong. You have to, oh, yeah, I forgot this. It would tell me what it forgotten when I tell it, look, this seems to. And Grok was absolutely faultless, start to finish. The numbers tabulated, set out, calculate. It was absolutely accurate.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that, like you're saying, that you can now take the data, let's say all the cars in Seattle, all the Tesla driving around in Seattle, and it can maybe take all that video and then analyze it and say, this is the traffic patterns, this is the commute times, even more accurate than what they've got now. What's something like that maybe, or weather, how the weather impacts commutes by street. I mean, it's on, like you said, it's almost not, you can't, it's unlimited in what it can probably do when you have AI. So it's like, we're all expecting it to be a voice and a personality, but this is going to be so much more than that.
Well, not only AI, but AI with a camera. So
yeah.
It makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about that, and then the speed of innovation, right? I want you to speak to that a little bit. This is a slide that they shared. That this is the Memphis supercomputer for xAI, and they now have 200,000. Remember, just recently we were so shocked that they were able to get 100,000 GPUs up in 122 days. This is a record speed. In fact, even today, we're not even sure that anyone else has more than 30,000 at this point. These guys are already 100,000, and then in 92 days, they increased by another 100,000. So today they announced that they have 200,000 GPUs already, and then Elon said that they're already working on the next one, which is 5 times more. So yeah, before I get to that one, how do you think that this ability for them at xAI, some people are saying, well, that's xAI, that's not Tesla. These are two separate companies. That doesn't benefit Tesla. What's your answer to that?
That's pretty short-sighted. There are two companies owned by or controlled by an individual, by the same individual, and we've seen the relationship between these companies be very close before. I'm fairly certain that Tesla will have, not Tesla will have, but there will be a mutual agreement between the two companies to enable Tesla to avail themselves of this model, of these models. And, we're seeing that Tesla is breaking ground right now on a massive factory, a massive processing center. I have no idea what what chips are going to be used and what the quantity is, but it is gigantic, and we know that they're bringing in a lot more power. So whether that means they're going to actually cite anything from, the AI company there, or whether XAI there, or whether that's all going to be Tesla. My understanding from Joe is that it's going to be a Tesla center. So compute power is not going to be the problem. Compute power is going to be the least problem. The rate of speed at which they're operating is just staggering. So we'll see.
Yeah, you interviewed Joe Techmar this morning, and Joe is saying that he's seeing some tremendous amount of space near Giga Texas, right? That's being built, and he doesn't know yet what it's for, but he's surmising that it could actually be an expansion of Colossus or Cortex, which is Tesla's supercomputer, right?
Yeah, but it's on the grounds of Giga Texas. So Giga Texas is 2,000 acres. Of the 2,000 acres, less than a third, I think a quarter, has been developed. So this massive factory and all the other ancillary factories are less than a quarter of the extent of the land. So they're clearing land right now that is clearly for a very large plant, and they're doubling the size of the power supply to Giga Texas. So draw your conclusions. I think Joe's right. He's been pretty accurate up to
it's
now.
very likely that Tesla is going to. So I agree with you, right? If XAI is able to build 200,000 supercomputes and they were able to do it in 92 days, whatever it was, 92 days, Tesla can at least do it at the same time, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it's like they already have experience.
One thing,
maybe they'll do it faster.
Remember one thing, that the cluster in Memphis is using an older version of the process of the GPU. So there's a much newer version with 4 times, I believe, 8 times. Yeah, 8 times. Well, with the two of them combined, 8 times, because they're really 2 halves of the whole. So it's 8 times of the capacity. So who knows what the power is? And right now, despite all the noise, we still believe that the scaling laws apply. So it's going to be interesting, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, more compute means smarter AI or better autonomy. I've been asking this question to a few people, which is, or the way that they've answered me is saying that they actually think that autonomy is solved and that you're no longer compute constrained. And I continued to refer to ARK Invest spreadsheet, or they have a chart that said that they believe that we will get to 10,000 miles between intervention when we hit 100,000 H100s, and then we'll get to safe as any human when you hit 200,000 H100 equivalent compute. But some people I'm talking to are saying, no, I think we don't need to. It's more like that's a very simplistic way to look at it, just based on compute, that we're probably already at that point where we're at those numbers now without needing to build bigger and bigger compute clusters necessarily. Where do you think we stand?
Somewhere close to the middle of between those two assertions. I think the truth is, we talk about drive anywhere at any time.
Right.
And that's not really a good way of looking at it, because there are cases where the weather is inclement. There are cases where there's roads that really are not suitable, or that the car doesn't do well on. So we really should be talking about domains within which the car can operate.
Yeah.
One of those domains, so those domains are such that you could have a situation that in a given locale area, and in given time zones, and in given weather conditions, you could today, now, have autonomous driving, and those domains are going to expand every release of the software. I mean, I drove down in the Cybertruck on 13.6. Cybertruck's parked in the hotel here. I get a message, 13.8 is ready to download. So I've just downloaded 13.8. Very excited to get on the road with it. Couldn't because I had to be here with you. So this is a big sacrifice. I'll take out 13.8, and I have no doubt it'll expand my domain because I know that in certain areas I really need to, take control, and I'm going to experiment to see what areas I no longer need to take control. So I think that we will see in June the release in Austin, Texas, in a given domain, maybe a geographic limitation within Texas, or maybe, some roads or whatever. But I think we will see that. And so,
and the one in June, which is basically what, 4 months away, it's not contingent on having a new supercomputer built or the 50,000 going to 100,000 that's currently already. You think that
we're at a point where, I got into the car last night to go to a particular place. I told it where I wanted to go. It just took me there. Incredibly complicated drive. Austin is not easy. I mean, they have terrible traffic, and and every possible, there's this little center of the city, and then there's this freeway that bounds it, and getting on that freeway is no joke, and getting off the freeway, and so on and so forth. It was like perfect.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, actually, because that clarifies a lot, right? Which is in certain scenarios, in certain geographies, you can already say, like, for example, I have not had an intervention in 15 days. Yeah. And I would, every single day, I go somewhere, sometimes 2 places, most time just 1 place or back, and no interventions at all. So, from my perspective, I'm pretty confident I can go to the restaurant and back, and it would be no interventions required. But that's, like you said, maybe it's my location. Maybe it's if it's not raining too much or whatever. But so it's
probably a conventional route. It's probably you're driving conventional routes in well-marked, city roads. Everything's copacetic. And so that's a domain that the car is very comfortable in. But, enter bad weather or low sun, or, there are several domains I know that the car doesn't do well in. And the other issue is, clean cameras, big deal.
That was my issue.
Yeah. So they're working on that issue. That's going to take quite a bit of memory. It's going to take. So the question is speed, or getting. Look, there are a whole lot of things. I don't want to get into the technology of it, but there's no doubt that there are domains in which the car is very comfortable, and there are some that it's very uncomfortable. And I'll tell you, on .6, driving on freeways, if there isn't a car beside you or behind you, or ahead of you, the Cybertruck tends to hug the edge of the freeway, right on the edge, and sometimes over the edge. It is very stressful. But if there's a car ahead of you or there's a car next to you, it behaves perfectly.
It's got little things like this to still work out.
So I'm hoping
that's the Cybertruck, by the way. That doesn't happen with regular cars.
No, it does not happen on my 3s. It's limited to the Cybertruck. And I suspect, and it got a hell of a lot better on 6. On 5, it was bad. On 6, it got a hell of a lot better. I'm hoping it's one of the things that 8 eliminates.
So back to Grok 3. I mean, I think what we saw here, right, is an XAI showing that they are now one of, if not the leader, and Elon says will not be caught. Nobody will catch up to them again because they're already at 200,000. They're already building their next supercomputer. It's 5 times bigger. And they're so fast at it that it's hard for him to see that others will be able to catch up to that at this point. Now you've got that skill that they've proven that they have. So you're going to assume, and I think rightly so, that Tesla will be able to have that skill transferable, if not even shared. At least they'll be able to do it too. Tesla's really good. And then we're talking about can't wait till Grok is integrated into the cars. What about Grok being integrated into, or Tesla AI too, by the way, throughout Tesla's business, right? So I'll bring this up. This is a conversation I had with one of the Tesla AI team members about 2 weeks ago now. And he said this integration of AI agentic workflow across business processes and customer support looks promising. Customers will soon benefit from these enhancements. He's basically saying that, they're already implementing AI throughout Tesla's businesses, and customer support is one example that he's doing it. I said, might you give a clue of one example we can look forward to? Voice AI agents integrated with internal apps provide personalized interaction. So that could be that when I am using my Tesla app, I can now speak to my Tesla app and then they'll know who I am, personalized interaction. Or when I'm contacting Tesla's customer support, they can maybe reduce the service agents that need to reply. Obviously many companies are doing this, but the smarter the AI is, the better this can be to improve Tesla business overall.
Well, there's another advantage Tesla has. Tesla wrote all their own software. All of it.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is an advantage that there isn't this whole integration problem. There's no integration problem. They know their own software backwards. They know what the opportunities are, and they can implement those opportunities, without having to bring in Accenture or whatever to do this whole, API and build out and all that stuff. And, whether it's SAP it is such a mess out there in corporate land. Yeah. It is a true mess, but Tesla don't have that on top of them. So, we know that customer service is not that strong in Tesla. This is an opportunity to dramatically improve that customer service, to provide a lot more information to the user earlier, to be more reactive, and to route the call more accurately. But that's just the beginning. Yeah. That is really just the beginning. That's kind of that's the low-hanging fruit. There is so much that can improve. Everything from helping the supply chain people to manage their supply, to improve and optimize their supply chain. Yeah. To the whole delivery cycles.
Find me ways to save me $10 out of building the car. That's all you have to say. And then maybe it'll find ways.
I mean, it's going to get to that. There's no doubt about it. So the opportunities are huge. And, here's the big question. And it's a question for XAI more than it is for Tesla. How do you turn the investment dollars into revenue?
Yeah.
It's very challenging. It's going to become more challenging as more people get into the business, as these so-called frontier models become, everyday models. It's going to be, it's unclear yet. And, clearly Elon has a vision. He's got a lot better opportunity to implement it because he has Tesla on the one hand, SpaceX on the other, X on the other, and Neuralink. And so he has real life opportunities to immediately partner with huge users and use cases. For the other frontier models, everybody's going to be trying everything from everybody, and it's going to be very competitive.
Well, I'm just glad that the current smartest AI in the world, possibly forever the smartest AI in the world, is friends with Tesla. Yes. And it's going to be incorporated into our robotaxis, into our bots, into Tesla's business, into the cars, everything Tesla does.
As long as Elon continues to control Tesla, it's functioning as if Tesla had developed it in-house.
Yeah.
And
we just touched it'll be fun to really sit down and brainstorm more ways that smartest AI in the world is going to help robotaxi, for example, or just our cars. I've been saying that I believe, and we'll see, but when you get Grok into the car, it's going to be a bigger deal than most of us are expecting. like, sure, at the very beginning, like you said, there's limitations. So maybe it is just, hey, Grok, and Grok says hi. And then I ask it a question, it answers me. Maybe that's all it is. Nothing more than me just taking my phone and asking it on the phone. But I think this is going to turn, it's like, Elon's been saying, like, we have two cats, your cat and my cat, they both look like cats. But my cat can sing and dance. Well, literally, this car can now sing and dance,
There's no doubt about it. And I don't think it's going to be very long before all of that's incorporated in the car, because they have all the structure ready to go. Yeah,
they do. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate your feedback and your kind of viewpoint. It's you're always a little bit different than when I hear other people answer it, and I needed to hear your answers to these questions. So thank you. Follow Larry on his X account at Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.